This is Rob Tebbutt for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. Nice to say that. Betfred, title sponsors of Usyk-Chisora.
Yes,
how are you doing, Ed?
I can push your content a bit harder now.
Throw me the occasional retweet now, won't you?
Exactly. I can now, yeah.
How you doing, Eddie? Nice to pin you down on this pay-per-view fight week. How's it been?
Yeah, it's been good. I'm doing good. You know, I think it's a situation where it's very, 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 very difficult at the moment to do a show like this. And I'm really proud of, I know that we're never going to keep everyone happy, right? But I'm really proud of the schedule that we've got running into the back end of the year. I mean, last Friday we had 2 shows, one in Mexico, one in Italy. The Mexico show was just unbelievable. Obviously, Usyk-Chisora, a huge show this Saturday. Devin Haney against Gamboa next weekend. Katie Taylor in a World Championship triple header. White against Povetkin. Jacobs against Rosado. Billy Joe Saunders against Murray. AJ against Pulev. So it's as strong a run-in as probably we've ever done. And we're in the middle of a global pandemic and we don't have any gate revenue. So I'm very proud of our team, what we've done, and also the people we've worked with, because without them, it wouldn't have been possible. Everyone knows we're in a very difficult time, everybody. We have to adjust, we have to reset, but we have to move forward and get things moving. And that's what everybody, you know, is sort of got together and decided this is what we need to do.
Let's touch upon, first and foremost, Usyk-Chisora. Let's start on the main event. Watched the press conference yesterday. A few little barbs here and there, but it all seemed quite relaxed. It's not conventional Derek Chisora press conference I saw yesterday.
I just think over the last couple of years, Derek's chilled right out. And I think he if Derek's not fake, so if he likes someone, like if he don't have a problem with someone, he's actually a really nice geezer. And he really respects Usyk. He quite likes Usyk. Usyk's very difficult to dislike. You know, Tony tried to do that in the fight, you know, tried to sort of say, no, and then even around him. But you can't give him that respect in the ring. And this is what Hayes been sort of pumping into Chisora all week. I mean, David Hayes been on fire this week. You know, I mean, I've actually had a few sort of lay-ins while David Hayes is just absolutely smashing the pay-per-view. And, you know, he's very good at it as well. But I said to Dave yesterday, I went, Dave, I said, you're selling this to the hills. He went, he's going to do it. He's good. Like, he's totally convinced. And he's saying to Chisora, when you get in there, zero respect. Do you know what I mean? So it's all quite friendly. Usyk just, like, a couple of times yesterday, I feel like Usyk's got a bit sick and tired of people saying he's not big enough, he don't punch hard enough, he's not strong enough. And he's sort of trying to justify himself about World Series of Boxing and, you know, you don't have to be an elephant, you can be a lion and all this kind of stuff. And it was, you know, I think it's a unique experience, this behind closed doors, and I'm not sure who it's going to favour, because I think both guys probably are a little bit concerned about not having that, you know, 20,000 raw and having to do it. But I think it will favour Chisora because he'll have Hay and he'll have Bellew, and they will just be all night. Do this, keep going, let him go, let your hands go. You know, so, and he needs that. He needs that kick up the arse during the fight.
Now, obviously, that's the fight itself. I mean, it has kind of boiled down all week to kind of size versus skill, essentially. Away from the fight, I asked this of David Hay when I spoke to him on Monday. Obviously, we've got the WBO mandatory situation looming large in the background. Neither fighter is going to be focused on that, of course, but not to say Mr. Alex Krasiuk and David Hay haven't been. Have you had any conversations this week around the WBO mandatory?
Well, I mean, Usyk is set. You know, that's all in place already. He's due to fight the winner of Joshua against Pulev, unless, you know, someone changes their mind or Usyk's happy, you know, with a undisputed fight. Chisora is in the same kind of position that Alexander Povetkin was in going into the Dillian White fight. So Dillian was sorted, but Povetkin's not. So Del Boy will, in my opinion, take the mandatory position. But what David's trying to force is that when AJ hopefully beats Pulev, Chisora is the immediate next fight. I'm not sure whether they'll go for that, but I do think they'll install him as number one, and I do think they'll install him as mandatory. So it's a massive fight for Chisora. I haven't really thought about that, to be honest with you, but I heard him talk about it a lot yesterday. And it's obviously a carrot that David's been dangling, saying, you know, this is a big money fight. You win this one, mate. You know, you're cooking on millions. So that's obviously a big motivation for Derek as well.
Meant more so around Alex Krasiuk with regards to a step aside. As I mentioned last time I spoke to you.
No, there's no discussion. That they don't want to step aside. And that conversation will come, you know, post Joshua Pulev. You know, I've got a good relationship with Krasiuk, got a good relationship with Aegis and Usyk. And listen, if there's a sensible deal to be done, I think they'll consider it. But ultimately, say Usyk's not about the money. Usyk wants to win the World Heavyweight Championship. Usyk wants to become undisputed at both weights. So he doesn't want to wait around. So it's got to be something that makes sense for him, not just here's a few quid, wait, you know?
So moving on to the undercard, first and foremost, Dave Allen, my old mate, didn't look very happy yesterday. Is he happy today? What's the latest?
Not really. I mean, it's still going on. I was calling Don King all night yesterday. He chose mainly to ignore my calls. He just can't bring himself to do it, I don't think. He's got the raving hump with Lovejoy. He thinks he's been hugely disrespected. And I came up with a great deal for Don. Nice pot of money. Plus, I'll get Trevor Bryan out, his heavyweight, who he can't get out. And everyone around him just said, oh, he'll do it. And he's just fuming with Lovejoy. And I'm a bit pissed off with Lovejoy, to be honest with you, because he assured us in writing he had no managerial or promotional contracts. And he lied, basically. But he did feel like Don King hadn't given him a fight in 2 years and his contract was over. But you can't just presume those things, especially with someone as litigious as Don King. So it's still bubbling on. I think it's very unlikely that you'll see that fight, and I'll let him sort out his legal situation. I'd like to reschedule it. I'd like to reschedule it for the White Povetkin card. I had a chat with Dave about some opponents, and Dave was like, "Can I just fight this guy?" And he was like 260 or something like that, and just get out. And I said, "Look, Dave, to be honest with you, I don't think it's going to do you any favours. So let's just stay calm." Dave's a really intense guy. He's a bit of a warrior. Do you know what I mean? Like when he hasn't got an opponent, like when Hammer pulled out, he's phoning me 8 times a day. Anyway, what about this guy? So just relax. I'll make sure he's looked after if the fight doesn't go ahead. So he's sound, and we'll plan again, and we'll make sure we fight before the end of the year. But I haven't given up completely. But I have to be honest, like at this stage, I can't see Don King changing his mind. Maybe he wakes up this morning and, has a conscience, but unlikely.
Have you given up all hope of Dave Allen boxing on the card at all then?
Yes. Yeah, because I don't see the value, Rob, in him fighting a journeyman who's, no disrespect to this particular fighter, who's 3 and 40. We talked about Simon Belili. It's very difficult, Rob, for someone who's sort of geared them up for this kind of fight to then fight someone you don't really want to fight, who might come, do you know what I mean? So it's like, I said to Dave, you can fight Simon Belili. He didn't really want to fight Simon Belili. We offered him Mark Bennett, I think 8 and 1. He didn't really want. He just, after that sort of deflation, it's hard to get yourself up for, and even Valili and Bennett, they're going to come with firepower, and I don't think he wants to make a mistake. I think he's done the right thing, and we'll regroup, and like I said, I'm going to wait, and we could sort this tomorrow morning. Very unlikely.
If Dave Allen's not on the card, Eddie, how does that affect the validity of the pay-per-view? Fair question.
Oh, right. No, it doesn't change a bite, to be honest with you. I mean, it's funny because when we announced Dave Allen, it's like, are you joking? Why did you put him on pay-per-view cards? Blah, 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 blah.
Not for the Hammer fight.
Sort of, yes, quite a few. But obviously that fell through. And then, and look, the truth is I know that, Dave, people want Dave on the card. Of course they do. I'm not saying, but it doesn't affect the numbers in any capacity at all. I would have liked the fight to take place. In fact, for this card, we're only allowed 7 fights. And I booked 8, and I convinced the board to allow 8 because I knew, not Dave, but I knew in the environment we're at the moment, one will fall out. So we've still got so much action on the card. So listen, if I had a choice, I would love to have him on, but it doesn't change. I think sometimes, Rob, we sort of, if you knew the stats of what time people buy the pay-per-view on a Saturday night, it's like, of the people that buy on the day, I don't know, 90% of them buy at 9 o'clock, for 2 fights. But I don't take advantage of that. I want to give you a great card from start to finish. I'm always trying to sell you 6 hours of live entertainment. And it is, we start at 5, we'll finish at 11, 11:30, whatever it is. So I don't think, if it was Dave against, I don't know, Hughie Fury, or Dave against Price rematch, something considerable, I do think, I still don't think it would really affect the numbers, but it would be a major blow. But, him against Lovejoy was on at 7:30 or 8 o'clock. And I would have loved to have done it, but, you know, unfortunately, it was taken out of our hands.
Elsewhere on the undercard, Lee Selby versus George
Right.
Kambosos. IBF mandatory title eliminator, final eliminator at stake to become the mandatory. Talk to me about that fight. Great opportunity for Lee.
I actually think that could be fight of the night, to be honest with you. I mean, the two fights I'm really looking forward to on the undercard was quite a few, but the main ones are that and Marshall against Rankin for the world title. I think that Selby Kambosos is such a great fight because this guy, he's talking a great game. Do you know what I mean? Kambosos. And he's going to come in. I like the fact that, you know, when I spoke to his team, they said, basically, we don't think Selby likes to fight. So we're going to pressure him and we're going to beat him up. And that will lead to a great fight because that will also play into Selby's hands. You know, Selby's a great counterpuncher. He moves very well. But Selby's going to have to fight in this fight. You know, you wonder when someone gets to the latter end of their career, how much ambition has Lee Selby got? I know he loves the sport. I know he wants to win a second division world title. But honestly, Kambosos, you know, not sounding cringy, but he is a hungry lion. You know, that's what he calls himself. And he's just been walking around all week just like, I'm desperate for this. I'm desperate. And that makes him very dangerous. That is going to be a brilliant fight. And, you know, the great news with the IBF is they will stick to their mandatory. You know, we know with the WBC situation, you know, this IBF, Teofimo was always the IBF champion. So the fight that he just had is irrelevant. It doesn't reset the mandatory. So I believe the IBF will call the winner of this fight immediately after for his first defence. And it's a massive opportunity for both of them.
Do you think it will be a first defence, or do you think he'll end up boxing for a vacant title, the winner of that fight?
I think Teofimo will want to know what the money is. He might look at it and say, listen, I'll go to purse bids. A lot of people are going to pay a lot of money for me at the moment. So let's, you know, or Top Rank might come in and say, you know, this is the offer. Or he might vacate. I don't see him vacating at the moment, to be honest with you. And I don't think he's going to be running from Selby or Kambosos. I guess he's just going to evaluate his options, look how much money is in the pot and move on.
Just while we're kind of touching around the lightweight section, you did mention Devin Haney beforehand, boxing Yuriorkis Gamboa next weekend. How important is it for Devin Haney to really make a statement in this lightweight division? It's the hottest division in boxing.
Yeah. I think it's a bit dangerous, that fight, because I know he's a big favourite, but, you know, we can't just say, oh, Gamboa, he just lost to Tank Davis. I mean, he went 11 rounds with a ruptured Achilles and done well in that fight. Like, he's a seasoned former unified champion. But the pressure on Devin is not just to win, but like you said, like, he can't afford to not look scintillating in that fight. And I've told him, I don't want you to put too much pressure on yourself. You just go and defend your titles. But I know Devin and I know Bill, and they will want to put in a statement in that fight. They will want people to go, wow, I actually think Devin Haney's better than Teofimo Lopez or whatever. Because the better the performance, the more interested people are in those mega fights. And Devin definitely wants to make a statement.
We've mentioned Gervonta Davis. Obviously, he returns to action against Leo Santa Cruz. What do you make of that fight?
I don't know, really. It's a good fight. I kind of feel like they're the wrong divisions. Do you know what I mean? Like, I always see Leo as a bantamweight, you know, featherweight, moving up, super fit. And, like, you know, I know it's at super feather, but Gervonta's going to rehydrate, like, God knows, 20 pounds, 22 pounds. And I just think it'd be much too big for him. But it's a good fight.
What were your thoughts on Floyd Mayweather said after that fight that he would want Gervonta Davis to have one more fight and then potentially box Teofimo Lopez? It all seems to be bubbling up in that lightweight division.
Amazing. I mean, look, you got Campbell, Garcia, great fight. You got Haney Gamboa. You got Teofimo Lopez. You got Tank Davis. I mean, it's such a great division. I think it's the best division in boxing right now, to be honest with you. And then you've got the Selby Kambosos winners all of a sudden going to be, you know, a big contender in the division. And, you know, I think it's brilliant.
Free to air as well on Channel 5, announced yesterday. Did Sky have the opportunity to take the fight?
We can't really, because we got the pay-per-view. So you can't bolt on. I mean, you could have run that at 3 o'clock in the morning on, you know, normal Sky, but I think all the focus is on the pay-per-view event. If we could have added it to the pay-per-view, but you have a window, and what happens is, I won't bore you too much, but, you know, when you record the fight, it can only record for so long. And the problem is when you run past 6 hours, it provides problems for the recording and the show. And, you know, so you could be recording it and it doesn't go on to that. And it's very difficult to go beyond 6 hours.
You've mentioned kind of, it's well documented what you've said about Sky's budgets and the fact that you have to look after your own fighters first and foremost. With the launch, obviously we're going to come on to the launch of DAZN as a global app. With the launch of that, could we expect to see DAZN potentially take some of the international fights and show them over in the UK post-launch?
I think so. I mean, I think, you know, that they're more interested in their own product. And the great news for us as a business is that the global launch will enable us to expand in many new territories with localized events. So like at the moment, you know, we're doing our 20 shows in America. We're doing our 8 shows in Italy. We're doing 6 shows in Spain. We'll expand into probably Australia, Canada, Germany, and grow with that product. The great thing about the global launch is it enables DAZN to really see the markets that have great potential, you know? So then it's not that they're going to be going in right now and, you know, spending a load of money in the UK and pushing the product. It's a global product, but it will enable them to see spikes in numbers in territories that will be worth going in onto the ground and creating localized events. And that's what we'll be doing. We've done it in Italy, we've done it in Spain, and we'll be doing it in 5 or 6 different territories in 2021. I
guess the obvious question here, Ed, is how does the launch of DAZN Global affect Matchroom's relationship with Sky Sports?
I don't think, you know, we're aware of our UK events, which is our core business, is completely exclusive to Sky. You know, I think anytime there's competition in the marketplace, you know, I know that it's well documented. Our contract runs out in a year's time, and you know, DAZN are coming into the UK. Oh, it's going to be interesting. But I said in an interview yesterday that, you know, at the end of the day, we're a business, and you know, we look at our moves and our strategy very, very carefully. But we're also very loyal, and Sky have been a huge part of the development and the growth of Matchroom, not just in boxing, but in darts and, you know, all our other events as well. So we're happy. You know, we have the best broadcaster, best sports broadcaster in the UK. We have, you know, a great budget. We have a great production team, you know, in Ed Robinson, Adam Smith, we worked with for a long time. You know, people at the top level who have a passion for the sport of boxing. We have the best pay-per-view system in boxing, I believe, certainly in the UK. And we have huge exposure for our fighters through, you know, cross marketing across channels, you know, Sky Sports News. We're very happy. So, you know, I don't see, I said, you know, we're already talking about an extension to that contract, and, you know, we're in that sort of time period now where we will be making our moves.
Let's talk about Ryan Garcia versus Luke Campbell. Obviously, the fight that is going to launch DAZN Global. First and foremost, brilliant fight. Feels like we've been talking about it all year.
Yeah, it's a great fight. I mean, I think, you know, it's a December 5th is a bit of a log jam, isn't it? You know, we were supposed to go with Billy Joe Saunders. We pulled off to the 4th. Ryan Garcia against Luke Campbell is an early fight. I think they're doing that for the UK fans. So it's going to be up against Tyson Fury, probably just after, although God knows what's happening with Tyson Fury. So, yeah, I mean, it's like I said, that lightweight division, Campbell Garcia, great fight. Selby Cambosis, great fight. Gamboa Haney, great fight. You know, it's really, really good, interesting times. And I believe Luke Campbell's going to win that fight. I really do.
199 price point obviously has raised a few eyebrows in the favourable way. Could we expect to see that, you know, rise as DAZN adds more content?
No, I've not had a discussion with them about their strategy of their price point, but I would say yes. I mean, I would think that's an introductory number, and, you know, I don't think until they make or decide, I guess, if they make a move with localized events, you know, that's when you would see a price increase on that kind of subscription basis. But again, that's not, you know, not speaking on behalf of them. I think for them, this is that we're offering it around the world. And then from there, you almost review the strategy moving forward, dependent on the interest in the product and the numbers. If that makes sense. So I don't think there's any immediate plan to explode in the UK or in any territory, but it's definitely going to give them the data they need to see where has potential.
You mentioned Tyson Fury on December the 5th. I'm still none the wiser as to what's going on, but we've seen the rumours on Twitter about Simon Keane as an opponent. What's your thoughts on that?
I haven't seen that one. No, that's a wind-up, surely. Yeah, no, I'm not doubting you've seen it on Twitter, that he can't fight Simon Keane. No. I mean, look, he's going to get untold stick for fighting Campbell and Takam, to be honest with you, because, you know, when AJ boxed Takam, blimey, that was what, 3 years, 4 years ago, and it was like, and he was game as a bagel then and tough, and it was, oh, Takam, who's Takam? Now he's been iced by Chisora, 2 years ago, and he's not done. But Campbell is an awful fight for Tyson Fury because the styles just won't gel. Takam's all right, like, you know, I guess you can get away with it, but at least Takam will come to fight. But Simon Keane's a wind-up. I don't believe that he's going to fight Simon Keane. You know, you can't. Fury's brilliant. You know what I mean? Great fighter. But you can't. Can you imagine if AJ boxed Simon Keane? I mean, come on. I'd get lynched.
Have you heard anything on that, or is that you just saying no, that can't possibly happen?
No, I just can't. I don't believe they'll fight someone of that. No disrespect to Simon Keane, but you know, you're not going to put a pay-per-view fight with Tyson Fury against Simon Keane in Canada. I mean, I think he'll fight Campbell, you know, or a top-ranked guy. I mean, he should fight Michael Hunter or Oscar Rivas. I mean, Takam, you know, I don't think that's a horrendous fight, but it's not exactly a pay-per-view. But you know, Fury's kind of built the right for pay-per-view actually. So, you know, listen, that's her business. I'm more thinking if I'm them, what is it, 5-6 weeks away? You know.
It all sounds a little bit strange, Eddie. It's 5-6 weeks away. We've not heard anything from Deontay Wilder's team still. What do you make of the whole situation?
Sometimes, Rob, things are bubbling behind the scenes. Do you know what I mean? So sometimes you don't see what's going on, and I wouldn't be surprised if Shelley Finkel and Deontay Wilder, if they had anything about them, were probably taking legal action at the moment and trying to enforce their contract. Unless, you know, I said before, if he doesn't take this opportunity, then he ain't going to fight for a world title till, I don't know, 2022, 2023. Like, how much do you want to regain your titles? I've said numerous times, when AJ lost to Reed, all we ever thought, like the whole team, Rob, do you know what I mean? It was like, we woke up every morning thinking he's got to win those belts back. I know he'll do it, you know? And I just don't see that from Wilder. I might be wrong, but I don't know. It's very strange.
Okay, Eddie, before I let you go, wouldn't be right not to talk about the big news in publishing this week, of course, in boxing. The book, the Boxing Social magazine, has been released on Monday. I'm sure you would have got your copy, Eddie. It's only 99p. What do you think of it?
I haven't seen it, but it looks great. No, sorry, I haven't seen it. I haven't read it, but I've seen it. The Hurtful Eight, yeah? Thought it looked really impressive, actually. I'm not a massive magazine reader. I'm not even a big book reader. You know, obviously my book Relentless is now available, #1 in most categories on Amazon. But you know, I do read books, but I don't read that much. To be honest with you, Rob, I'm just like glued to my phone, dealing with aggravation and problems most of the day. So good luck with the magazine. Everybody watching, make sure you get out and support it. Anything like that's great for boxing. You know, difficult times. Just trying to get through the year, get everybody out. You know, work together to try and get through this moment, this process. And the fact that you guys are coming out, being innovative, you know, creating stuff is great. And that's what we're trying to do as well. So I feel like there's a lot of synergy, Rob, between Boxing Social and Matchroom right now.
There is, but I'm still sat here in my living room.
I know. Well, you know, that's another story.
Eddie Hearn, always a pleasure. Thanks very much for speaking to Boxing Social in a busy pay-per-view fight week. Before I let you go, it's been a while since I've given you the floor to sell everybody your pay-per-view, so hit me with it. What can fans expect on Saturday night? Usyk-Chisora pay-per-view. Let's go.
We're in a completely new world. The night out no longer exists. It's all about the night in. Tomorrow night on Sky Sports Box Office, 6 hours of live entertainment. We're going to kick it off with a cracking little female Commonwealth Championship fight. We didn't even talk about this one, Rob. Amy Temlin against Liverpool's Carly Skelly. Great fight. Then we're going to go on to who I believe, didn't talk about this guy either, could be a future world champion, Cash Farouk against Martin Tuapetla, who's boxed for world titles, boxed Dwayne Bayman, beat him as well. Then we go on to Ramla Ali making a professional debut. Then a brilliant fight, the European Cruiserweight Championship between Belfast Tommy McCarthy and Bilal Lagoon. And then the grudge match, England against Scotland, the world middleweight title. Savannah Marshall against Hannah Rankin. So much bad blood there. I can't believe, by the way, that Hannah Rankin is an 8-1 shot with Betfred for that fight. Then we go on to, for me, arguably fight of the night, George Kambosos against Lee Selby, final eliminator for the IBF world title. The winner will be the mandatory for Teofimo Lopez. And then the main event, one of the greatest pound-for-pound fighters of our generation, undisputed cruiserweight king, Alexander Usyk against the British Bulldog, Usyk-Chisora, David Haye, Tony Bellew on that team. They are going to war from the first bell. No respect to Usyk. Let him have it. 6 hours of live entertainment. You cannot go out. No hotels, no bars, no restaurants. You're at home. Get your food in, get your beers ready. Fright night, baby. Sky Sports box office. It's all action, non-stop. Do not miss it. We love you so much. Keep supporting boxing. Thank you.
And of course, all brought to you in association with the title sponsors,
and Boxing Social.
Eddie Hearn, always a pleasure. Thanks very much for speaking to Boxing Social.
Cheers, guys. See you later.
After the fight.